to another edition of Uplifting Interviews with Total Strangers. And we've got Melissa on board, and I asked her how she was today, and she actually said she's fantastic, which I want every one of you watching eventually becoming, because if you think it, you are it. And Melissa's fantastic.
I am.
And,
I am fantastic.
And she liked, well, what I had to say, so I thought, and she agreed to be on interview, which is fantastic, because she is a yoga teacher, and what else?
And meditation.
Meditation. It's all in the head anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So you understand completely, I think, therefore I am.
Yeah. So,
okay. So tell us about yourself.
So I was just telling Monty one of my favorite meditations is called Focus on Positive. And it's where you basically create happy thoughts for yourself. And you also can notice pleasant sensations in the body. You're basically tuning your brain into everything that is good. And it's interesting because some people can really resist this because they say it feels fake. And the argument for that to me is like, well, your negative thoughts are just as fake as your positive ones. So eventually you get to this point, if you practice enough, where you feel like you have a little bit more of a choice of what you want your thoughts to be. And that's focus on positive.
100%. 100%. And you do this for a living every day?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, not every day.
Oh, not every day.
But most days. I practice myself every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so people, you have a class someplace, you have a website, you want to shout out to the people here?
Sure. Actually, if you guys just follow me on Instagram, that's the best way to keep up with what I'm doing because it's always kind of random. So it's MJ_Molyneux.
And how you spell Molyneux? I mean,
oh, yeah.
You have to guess that? That's not an easy name. It's not Smith. And Smith sometimes with a Y, right?
Right. Molyneux is spelled M as in Mary, O-L-Y, N as in Nancy, E-U-X.
No one would ever get that. Are you kidding me? What kind of marketing person are you? First off, you got to change your name or your Instagram. That's way too tough.
Here, wait. I'll get my card. You can see my card. It's easier to see it.
Oh, visualization.
Yeah.
See, it's all about visualization.
Yeah.
Life is about visualization. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with but a single step.
Beautiful. I love that.
Well, actually, there's it's a great saying. You see it, everybody?
Oh gosh. The shadow.
It looks like Molyneux.
Yeah.
You said Molyneux.
Yeah.
So I would never guess the Y in there.
M-O-L-Y-N-E-U-X.
But a very dear friend, when I told him this journey of 1,000 miles, it's a very old Chinese proverb, but it's actually not correct. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with the motivation, and before you have the first step, you have to have the motivation. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So I don't know it all. I know a lot of stuff, and I know that a journey of 1,000 miles begins slowly.
Well, I think there's advantages to not knowing. I think that's
ignorance
the essence.
Ignorance is bliss.
Yeah, well.
Do we need to know how many people were murdered today? Do you watch the news?
I really
try to
have
avoid
been
it.
selective with my news recently.
You got to avoid a lot of the news because we don't need to know how many hit and runs, how many drive-bys, and this is Los Angeles with 10 million people. It's just a matter of numbers.
Right. Yeah, and I think there's a certain degree of politics and news that you need to know as a human participating in your society.
Right.
But you also need to be gentle with your system. The human body is such a gentle, tender system, and you have to be careful with that.
And I haven't, and I'm surprised I'm still alive at 63. I mean, I think I have a death wish. I mean, when I had a motorcycle, I practically committed suicide every day, laying it down on turns, and just can't believe I lived through the things I lived through. I totaled a car at 95. They said I should have died that time. I think I don't know if it's thrill seeking or stupidity or a mixture of the both. But I've lived, and I'm lived to tell the tale. Yeah. And now I'm having a great time with uplifting interviews because I meet people like yourself, and I wouldn't have done it if I didn't jump in the car and said, okay, let me do a couple rides and see who I meet today. And I love this technique that you do because you never know who you're going to meet. This is such a wonderful way to meet people. I love talking to my Lyft drivers. Do you do it often?
Oh, yeah. Every time I get in a Lyft or an Uber, I like to figure out who they are. Unless they don't want to talk, I don't make them talk.
Well, actually, the people that don't talk to me, I really feel like pulling over and saying, would you please get out of the car? I really want to get rid of them because they're wasting my time.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they think? It's a limo and You know, I used to drive them in one of my 79 careers, right? But it's like, I can't stand someone who goes down in life with blinders on, which is the majority, and sit on a plane for 8 hours next to someone that could be your neighbor.
Yeah.
And speaking of neighbors, to begin this job, it's really fun. I'm meeting new people like yourself, going places I don't know where the hell I'm going. Like I know how far I'm going. It doesn't tell me where I'm going, so that's a mystery. I don't have to think about it though, because it's telling me exactly what to do. Right?
Thank you, machine.
Exactly. Thank you, AI. So I turned the machine on a couple weeks ago, and typically I live in the marina, and I get a ride before the end of the quarter-mile street I live on. I live on the water, and this one morning I turn it on, and I got it immediately, just immediately. And a guy gets in the car, and he turns out to be, I don't know him, my next door neighbor. He lives across the hall, 4 feet.
Oh my gosh.
4 feet. And
he could have just knocked on your door.
Exactly. But we didn't know each other, right? That's society. No one knows their neighbors.
Yeah.
You can live in a house or an apartment or a condo, and you don't know who your neighbors are. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And now with these stupid devices everywhere, you know, nobody's even talking to each other.
Yeah. Have you noticed? It's so interesting. It's so interesting. If you like walk into Starbucks or whatever, and you'll notice like people do their order, and then they stand in line for 5 seconds, and then they can't handle it. They pull out their phones.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you even looking at? You're waiting for your coffee.
Yeah, or a couple sitting at a table, and they're both texting. Yes. And I always think, are they texting each other?
Yeah.
You know, because like they're sitting 2 feet away.
Yeah. And you know what? Recently, and this actually takes a bit of work because it's the expectation that you'll get back to people like that.
Right.
So recently, I've really dedicated myself to answering my emails, texts, and everything on my phone, kind of in a bulk session each day, because I think
do it all at once instead of
I think unless it's like an emergency.
Right.
But I think it interrupts the creative flow. You know, like when we didn't have phones on us all the time, we could get into a creative flow with what we were doing and like see the entire process through. Okay. And now you hear a ding on your phone and your attention is pulled away.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think it's like, I think that does something to the nervous system. We can't like get in the zone. You know what I mean?
Well, I do know what you mean. The problem with me personally, suffering from SADD, the very sad disease that I have, super ADD, is that I have to do it immediately or I'll forget about it. You know, and I usually forget about it anyway.
Yeah.
But no, it's an instant news. Society is an instant reaction.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's going to be some serious problems to pay for the evolution of technology and artificial intelligence.
And the evolution of our brains.
Yeah, they're going to implant the phone. See, right now it's in my ear, the phone.
Right.
And you see people walking down the street talking, and you don't see any device, and you think they're talking to themselves. Well, what's going to happen in the future is these things aren't going to be in the ear anymore. They're going to be in your head, and then they're going to be just thinking, not even talking anymore. You're just going to think thoughts, and I'll be able to call you.
Yeah.
It's like the future is scary. And then imagine everyone just being quiet now. No one even talking. Because like texting, there's more texts than calls now.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been for quite some time, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's just so easy, it's interruptive.
And that's another thing I've been working on. I actually have been working on just picking up the phone and calling people because I feel like we're becoming a society that is like so scared.
I tell people, please just call me. I don't want
to be like this anyway.
Yeah.
I'd rather just pick up the phone.
At Google, no one uses the phone. And if someone gets a phone call at Google, they say, oh my God, it must be an emergency.
So weird.
They don't use the phone at all.
Did you work for Google?
No, but I met some people high up in Google.
Oh, okay.
And they have these tiers of emails, A, B, C, D, you know, that are of importance. Mm-hmm. And no one goes above A because that's a phone call. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if it goes above A, it's got to be like, you know, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
I mean, I could talk all day long on these kind of subjects, and I do, literally. But so in closing, I always like to, with my vast amount of experience, and I'm not always right, solve a problem.
Okay.
Or give you some advice. Do you have anything that's on your mind, relationship-wise, career-wise, travel-wise, that if you had someone that can answer it for you, you would like to ask?
Let me think about that.
Think about it for a second.
Yeah.
I had a girl the other day. She was a widower, and she was flying to Brazil for a marathon. And she says, I'm a widowed for some time. I haven't dated in a long time. What advice do you have for romance? And to me, it came in an instant. It was the simplest thing in the world. I told her, Google running clubs, single running clubs.
Yeah.
I mean, and she goes, "What a great idea!" I go, "Are you kidding me?" There's a single for chess, for sailing, for knitting. I mean, there's got to be a singles club for everything, right? But I totally believe if you're honest, you'll meet a mate over the internet. Yeah. But don't show a picture of you thin 10 years ago,
right?
Because somebody likes older, fat women, right? I had a friend who likes totally obese women.
Yeah.
The fatter, the better. Okay, so be yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with relationships is people put on a facade so they won't get hurt if they don't like them. And the person falls in love with the facade. Finally, you're comfortable enough with that person, and you let the facade down, and they say, "I don't like that person."
Right. Yeah, I think if you
honesty, people.
Yeah. If you can be vulnerable right off the bat, you have a much better
Listen,
chance.
you got to understand. Some women don't like bald guys. Some women like bald guys. It's just be yourself, be honest, and be happy, people. Be fantastic. Thank you for the interview. This is wonderful.
Thank you.
This
Thank
was a
you
good
so
one.
much. Yeah.